What's going on, guys? Welcome to Frank Analysis. I'm your host, Franco, here, back with you guys with another panel discussion. This time I have here Charles Anderson of the Lone Wolf Podcast, who I believe is now the most, uh, who's been on the show the most out of any guest that I've had on. And we have back on the show Ricky of Ricky Rants. And we're here to talk about all the stuff that you see on the title: Fauci, Noam Chomsky, Dave Chappelle, the Forward Party, which is Yang's Forward Party. We're going to share our thoughts on that. Some of those topics we can't talk about here on YouTube, so we're going to have part of the stream be exclusive to Rockfin. As some of you guys may be familiar, I was suspended from YouTube for a week just for talking about things that even other channels like Jimmy Dore and Fred Hampton Leftists have talked about, which is the Joe Rogan versus the Sanjay Gupta interview. And you guys know that I'm an evidence-based guy. I shared evidence to everything that I was saying about to back up my arguments about that. But if we can't really talk about that here without risking my channel going down, I have that one strike, two more, and I'm out of here on YouTube. But let's go ahead and bring these guys in. Charles and Ricky, how's it going, guys?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, doing pretty well. As I was saying before we went on the air, I've had an eventful day here. I just became the new dad to a litter full of 7 puppies today.
Awesome. Yeah, dogs are awesome. I got my cats here, but they're neutered and spayed, so they're not going to have kids. Even though it's a boy
I
and a
got
girl.
some of those too, man. We've got the whole zoo at this point with the puppies coming in. So.
You got any birds or like any other pets?
No. Right now we've just got my 2 huskies, their new puppies, and my wife's cats. So
hey, careful, Charles, because Fauci wants, they want animals at the zoo to get like jabbed now, so maybe they'll come after your pets and our pets.
Yeah, well, if Fauci ever wants to experiment on one of my dogs, he'd welcome to come talk to me about that anytime.
That beagle stuff. I'm glad that's in the spotlight now, but I think they're throwing this guy under the bus now.
Yeah, well, it's high time in my opinion, but
it's about time. Let's go ahead and start with the first topic here, the YouTube safe topics. We're gonna talk about Dave Chappelle and his special, The Closer, and a lot of people have been. This has been controversial. They've been saying that what he was saying is transphobic. Before we show what some of the people who are striking are saying, I just want to get your thoughts real quick. What were your thoughts on his show or his Netflix special?
Honestly, I mean, I watched it, and while I can see where I guess some of the jokes might come across as offensive to certain people, the idea that comedy is not offensive. I mean, stand-up comedy's had offensive stuff in it for a long time. I think Chappelle got a lot of his style from the people that came before him, people like Red Fox, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, Richard Pryor, Red Fox, they're both dead and gone. Eddie Murphy's still around. And I can tell you right now, go watch Delirious, go watch Raw. Eddie Murphy made some comments about the LGBTQ community way back then, especially when the whole AIDS thing was getting started, that could be considered very offensive, but he's not getting canceled. And why? Because they will certainly go back if they want to cancel you 20, 30, 40, 50 years and pull something from your past to use that to cancel you. They're not doing that to Eddie Murphy, and I don't want them to. It just raises the question, why are they not? And to me, this is what I took away from it. Whether you agree or disagree with what Dave Chappelle says, and a lot of it, I think, is just him trying to spin it into a joke. I think he is also trying to make people think about things differently. You've got mainstream media who pushes narratives down our throats 24/7. And so instead of just taking what you hear and accepting it that it has to be this way, he then gives that voice, and he's a pretty powerful voice that gives that pushback and says, Why should I have to change what I believe or et cetera, et cetera? The thing is, this is me, they don't like dissenting voices. That's why I get throttled. That's why you get throttled. And it's easy to throttle us because we're nobodies. That's why you can go and get suspended from your account for a week, but Jimmy Dore won't because he's a bigger channel. See, when you have name power, if they try to suspend you, then that draws a lot of attention to you. So the best thing they can do when you've got a big name behind you is to cancel you. They got to find some scandal to take you down. This, I think, is what they're trying to take him down with. And I believe that the reason they haven't gone after people like Eddie Murphy is simply because Eddie Murphy is not actively out there presenting the devil's advocate argument for these sorts of things. He's out there maybe making a movie, maybe returning to Saturday Night Live, but he's not engaging in the controversy and pushing back on these narratives, so he's safe. But the minute you start to question the mainstream media's narrative, they're either going to try to cancel you or they're going to try to silence you. It depends on how popular you are as to which route they'll take.
Yeah, well said. Ricky, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's this whole topic is very interesting. It is all about narratives, though. We live in a world that's all about agenda, right?
Yeah.
Everything's about agenda, and it's not just comedy or pop culture. It's everything we do now. Healthcare is an agenda at this point, and it's getting absurd, to be honest. If you take a look at like old Chappelle, he was always political. He was always, talking about race relations and this and that. He was always very topical, and he always pushed the envelope a little bit. But what you're seeing now is a little bit more drama from Chappelle, and he's doing this on purpose. After he came back from his hiatus, he used to do the very silly jokes where he'd play characters and do the voices and all of that, and he was amazing at it. He was brilliant. He was a great sketch comedian. But as he's come back, he's definitely a much more mature person, and he's literally telling the jokes. Some of them are offensive and maybe not even that funny, but he's telling the jokes that will get the reaction that he wants. This is his art. This is what he does. So he knows what he's doing when he's going in and doing this, because this guy's a genius. This guy's very smart. But he's going in there and he's telling the jokes that would have been fine to tell 10, 15, 20 years ago. And he's doing it on purpose because those are the jokes that you're not allowed to tell anymore. And it's as simple as that, I think, with Chappelle. He's doing, like, if you look at his other specials, like, it's not always about trans people. It's about, police brutality. It's about Michael Jackson. He destroyed Michael Jackson in a special for no reason. There was actually no reason to tell those jokes. And they were really, some of them were really off color, but he did it because he's not allowed to do it, and he did it just to, get a rise out of people. And that's his art, is to show you where we are as a culture, where we are with censorship and these agendas that they keep pushing. I don't know what the LGBTQ agenda is in the mainstream right now. I don't know if it's they're trying to get Pete Buttigieg to be the next president. I don't know what the exact agenda is, but it's very, very specific when it comes to the LGBT narrative. And I don't know why. Because
it might be...
they didn't give a shit about, excuse my language on YouTube, but they didn't care back during the 80s when AIDS was going around. They really treated the gay community like crap. Both parties did. Both parties did, and even movies, even pop culture. If you look at Hollywood, they would make the gay people the butts of all the jokes. And now all of a sudden, you're not allowed to say anything bad about them. Straight people, whatever, but that's a protected group. And we don't protect all groups like that. There are other groups that get trashed all the time and no one cares. So it is an agenda. I think everyone deserves to be treated with respect, obviously, and there should be equity and equality. But there is an agenda at play here, and I'm not quite sure what it is.
They would throw them under the bus in the 90s, blaming them for AIDS. And Fauci was one of those people. Inclusively, he would blame Haitian people. He would say that they were more dirty. I talked about this with Alex Rubinstein in his article that he wrote about Fauci and things that people forgot about what he did in the 80s. But do you guys think that anything that Dave Chappelle said was beyond the pale, where it's just okay, you went too far here? Or do you think that it was just at a limit and it was there was a purpose there? What do you guys think?
I mean, I didn't hear anything in my opinion that went too far. I mean, there were a lot of things where it's just like, whoa. But in all honesty, I think, you know, there was a good point that was brought up here. Okay. Going back to people like Murphy, or even people like Chris Tucker, they were Eddie Griffin being another one. They are friends with Michael Jackson, or were before he passed. They made a lot of jokes about Michael Jackson, and they were not shy to mention the scandal about Michael Jackson and his kid companions. But Michael Jackson treated them like they were friends. Kind of the same way that Chappelle had a friend who was trans and could laugh at those jokes, named Daphne. What I'm getting at is, once upon a time, people were able to take some of these stereotypes or things that might be offensive because it was a comedy show, and appreciate that we're all just trying to get a laugh out of this. And a lot of these stereotypes can be used to hurt us. So we might as well just get a laugh out of it, you know, get ourselves some amusement, laugh at it, shrug it off. And a lot of people can handle that. But I think it's a sign of the society we live in. The world is wound way too tight and the springs are about to bust. Okay. And I think that this is a prime example of it. You can't make jokes about anything regarding it nowadays, which something else he pointed out. And I'm curious what your guys' take on this is. I think it's very ironic. As Chappelle pointed out, he could make jokes about any ethnical group, white people, black people, Asian people. He could do all these stereotype portrayals of them, and he'll be fine. Similar in the way that DaBaby shot and killed a guy in Walmart and his career was fine. But you start attacking the LGBTQ community, or even just make a joke that they don't appreciate, they're going to end your career over it. And you shouldn't try to hurt someone's feelings. But when you look at the scale of priorities, we talk about how bad racism is. We talk about things like Black Lives Matter, yet he could go out there and play an Uncle Tom character all day long. No one's going to say one word. How offensive is that? You know? But as he pointed out, the one time you cross the group, which is very protected right now, you know, even a murder charge won't ruin your career, but this will. You know, both are bad, but using common sense, I'm sorry, in my opinion, murdering someone is way worse than hurting someone's feelings, because at least they're still alive, you know, unless you drove them to the point of suicide. Which, by the way, if you want to get back to this, that's what happened to his friend Daphne for sticking up for him. I mean,
yeah, Ricky, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he said anything that was too much. If this was 10 years ago, we wouldn't even be having this discussion, honestly. This is a group that is especially protected right now. And I don't know if they just rotate from group to group to keep people divided and keep people fighting. It's very interesting why this is happening at this point in time. There might be more to it. We'd have to go down like conspiracy lane to try to figure out why it's happening. But it's definitely an agenda thing more than anything else.
To me, it's clear that they're trying to do this to give people a false sense of progress, like what they do with cheerleading for any legislation that's just giving us crumbs. With what the squad members do, right? They celebrate all this. It's trying to give people a false sense of victory. Like, oh my God, look at how much we're progressing. Look at how much we were so we would be so careless with gay people, which in some instances we were, like, really offensive back then in like the 90s and stuff, in the early 2000s even. So it makes people think it's like, okay, people are more conscious now. Like, they're being more careful now with what they say. But if you look at the root of it, our problems, are they getting solved? Look at everything that's going on. Look at the president who we have. Like, he's continuing everything that Trump was doing, plus even worse, which we'll get into in the other topics. But I do want to share some videos that I came across, 2 videos, and then I want to get your thoughts on it. The first one is an individual who I came across on TikTok who I thought made a lot of great points. So I want to share what her thoughts are, and then I want to share what some of the people who are protesting are saying about this. All right, so 1 second while I get the audio here sorted out.
I'm gonna talk about it because I don't have any followers, so I don't care what happens. You know how we say palm-colored people want to be oppressed so bad? How we all know that that's a thing? That it's like for years, for decades, it's like they've been trying to get into our shoes for whatever reason, even though they're the ones who laced them up. You know how we all get upset because it's like they're trying to find a struggle to have when they don't have any naturally. You know, also they can say, but me too, and take the focus off of the people that they've hurt. That focus shift is exactly what the gay community has given white people. Stay with me. It's given them the ability to decide whether they want to be white one day or gay the next day. It's given them the opportunity to be a real minority. A real one. For real, because it's not a fake struggle. It's a struggle. But it's just giving them the opportunity to be white or a minority on whatever day they so choose. If you've been able to grasp what I'm saying so far, then I'm here to tell you that you might have took Dave Chappelle's jokes in a way that he didn't mean them. He literally, as a comedian, had to stand on stage and explain a joke. Everybody knows that when you explain a joke, it's not even funny anymore, but he took the time to make things unfunny on purpose, just to say this is not about the gay community at all in any way. At all, and it's never been. He even brought up old jokes that he made in previous specials. All to say, I've not been saying anything negative about you. My problem is the white people, whether they are gay or not, are able to choose when they want to be a minority or not. I've seen a couple black people who are gay saying they feel erased, saying they feel that, oh, because people are black and gay, the jokes don't make sense, saying that Dave Chappelle doesn't know what intersectionality means. Could it be that you guys just do not understand that intersectionality's integrity is threatened? Intersectionality cannot righteously exist with justice behind it when you can flip back and forth between being a minority. Intersectionality should not be giving anybody a platform to be hateful one day and then scream at you about all their problems the next. That's the point he's trying to make. Dave Chappelle obviously knows that anyone could be anything. Think that's been the point of a lot of his jokes since forever. I need my people to understand that he is fighting for us, whether you're gay or not. Because white people, whether they're gay or not, will fucking win against you 100 to 1. You're getting thrown under the bus, baby, period. I'm going to talk about it because...
All right, and then here is another video I came across shared by Matt Orfala about some of the people who are protesting against this. Like, are they actually genuine about this, or, you know, what's going on here? So I'm going to get the audio sorted here, and then I'm going to get your thoughts on it. Just 1 second. This one was crazy.
Yeah.
Assert because of
I'm Ashley Marie Preston, and I'm the organizer for the Stand Up and Solidarity Rally. In my entire career, everything that I've done has been about pushing boundaries. It has been about holding people accountable.
I just cussed that Asian bitch clean the fuck out.
We expect more.
You mess up my order and then blame me? English is my first language, bitch.
And so,
I know it's a lot to ask in California, but speak fucking English. Yeah, I said it.
we also pour social equity into these spaces.
We just broke my phone on this Asian bitch's head.
Dave Chappelle doesn't get to suck all of the light out of that. And so the thing that I felt most troubled by is
Latino and Asian businesses need to stop being rude and fucking disrespectful.
they don't have the same equity.
This Asian nigga in Subway got a fat ass.
They don't have the same opportunity.
He almost looks like a bitch from behind. Hashtag shaking my head.
We will no longer stay silent.
Asian hoes act like they won't get karate chopped in they motherfucking throat.
Just to be
All right, well, I'll just leave it there. The whole video is like that. There's 2 minutes more of that. But Charles and Ricky, what are your thoughts on the 2 videos I just shared?
You know, that first video kind of, when she said like anyone can be anything or whatever, it does remind me of the old sketch where Dave Chappelle played the black KKK member, which wasn't that offensive back then. We all found that kind of funny. It's a fish out of water. The guy's blind. He doesn't know what he is. And it was funny, right? Because it's a weird thing. You don't see it. But that's kind of the lens that Chappelle, she noted that's the lens that Chappelle looks through. He looks through the lens of like how white people perceive things. And then when he's saying these jokes, it's not always like his point of view. It's how he sees other people seeing things. But that's the genius of Dave Chappelle, is that he's very observant. He's very smart. So that makes total sense what she said, I think, in a weird way. I do think he's a little bit more, he's definitely pushing the envelope in ways just to make, the statement because of all the censorship and whatnot. So he is digging a little more than he used to. He's a little less charactery, a little less playful than he used to be, just because of the state of the world. So that I do agree with that statement that she made. But yeah, and I kind of agree with what you were saying earlier too, Franco. The Democratic Party hasn't accomplished anything in decades. In fact, they've only been, trying to secretly steal rights and strip rights away from people and stuff like that, and sign shady bills. So they keep really pushing the social thing and identity politics. And the last big thing they did was like gay marriage a decade ago. That's the last like accomplishment I feel like the Democratic Party had. So I think that is so old news that they're really trying to be like, oh my God, we're here for you. We're here for the immigrants. Even though we're not, and we're here for the gay people. They might pick the natives next because, they're fighting at the pipelines, even though the Democrats aren't going to stop the fracking or anything like that. Yeah. So maybe they are real. If this is their strategy, like this is all going to fall apart in the next few years because everything is getting crazy. People are tired. People are waking up with these union strikes and whatnot. Like you can't just be like, oh my God, we love gay people, vote for us. Like something's going to happen. The world's going to implode on itself, or at least the United States will. But I feel like the whole world might be in the same boat. As far as that second video goes, I mean, yeah, that's an opportunist. That's someone who's like, oh, great, I can just latch onto that. I can become, Insta famous and maybe get a Netflix special. Or a Disney documentary, maybe I'll get that. Awesome, cool.
And for context, for people who don't know who that is, she's been a contributor. Ashley Marie Preston's been a contributor for TYT, and she was pushing for Warren during the 2020 primaries, and in 2019 she was also pushing for Warren. And then that is around the time when those tweets that were being displayed in that video started popping up. And I gotta correct you just a little bit, Ricky. The Democrats they've accomplished a lot. They've accomplished a lot for the oligarchs, but not for us. Go ahead, Charles.
So starting with the first video, I agree with her points that a lot of what Chappelle said has been taken out of context. Context has been misunderstood. It's been warped to fit certain narratives. I think, though, she tried to get a little bit into the identity politics world with the whole, it's the white people that's enemy. And to be fair, I heard Chappelle kind of reference that. He even said, if you've been listening, my issue's with the white people. So maybe Chappelle does feel that way. The only thing that I would say in response to that is I don't think that it's a black and white issue, pardon the pun. I think there's more nuance. Case in point, if the white people, while I do think there are some who want to hop on this bandwagon so that, as she put it, they can get the status of minority when they want because it benefits them, And then I can also be a white person and get white privilege or whatever when that benefits me. Again, let's jump back to Dave Chappelle's own friend, Daphne. If you haven't seen footage or videos or pictures, she was a white trans woman. Now, this Ashley Marie Preston is not. Funny enough, the white trans woman is the one that was driven to suicide for speaking her mind, while the opportunist is not white, and she seems to be doing pretty damn well, and she's championing this cancel culture that if you do anything that's offensive, we're going to stand up, we're going to cancel you. She's going to speak out against Chappelle's offensive remarks in a comedy special, but then at the exact same time, she's making all these racist, bigoted tweets on Twitter about Asian people, Latino people, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of like what Martin Luther King said. It's the content of your character. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're willing to go along with the narratives and the agenda, it don't matter what color you are. The people that want to push those agendas are going to push you. And it doesn't matter if you're white, black, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, whatever. If you're from the Middle East, it doesn't matter what color you are and if you're even part of that own community. The minute you start questioning the agendas and the mainstream media's narratives or what their narrative is, the minute you don't go along to get along, we're going to cancel you for it. You're an enemy. We can't have you around. You're hurting what we want to do here. And it doesn't matter what color you are. The white privilege obviously did not save Daphne's life in this case, did it? So I think kind of throwing that in the mix, someone like from my point of view can see some of the points that you're making. But then I look at that and I say, well, the evidence kind of shows something different here. And I think when you throw that in, you start to dilute the other truths in the message. You get a lot of people going, But, at the end of the day, Chappelle, in my opinion, has been very misunderstood. And this Ashley Marie Preston, she is a great person to be on TYT's payroll. She fits that mark. She is a wonderful addition to that network.
Aren't they all not surprising? Like all these people, like Josh Fox, and all of the controversy that he's had with like making women uncomfortable. This Ashley Marie Preston, her push for Warren, and then we see like her history, like things that she said, and Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian. And we saw those videos that came out recently. Jimmy Dore was playing those on his show a couple months ago.
Oh yeah,
it's not surprising.
Nothing fits that network better. You've got the founder, who is advocating for bestiality.
Goodness.
You've got the second in charge, executive producer, who will fat shame and make all sorts of other rude remarks to people. And then you've got other contributors who want to stand up against offensive and harmful rhetoric while they're talking about, this person's fat ass and making all these, comments about Asian people. Right. Yeah, I mean, hey, what wonderful. Oh, and by the way, they named their network after a genocide of the Armenians. So, what wonderful group of folks.
Yeah, not one of them believes the narrative they're paid to push.
Not even the Armenian. I mean, she doesn't even believe the whole Armenian genocide thing, I guess, right? So.
Oh my God. Yeah, not surprising. All right, guys, we're going to move on to the next topic here. I just want to give some shout outs here to Anna Mares. Thank you very much for the donation on Rockfin. Says you're killing it, Franco. Much love. Thank you very much, Anna. And what else here? So, guys, I'm going to go get my charger. You guys can read some of the chats while I'm gone because my laptop here that I'm using for some info is dying. So I'll be right back.
All right. Ty G says, I was in a TYT room earlier and I pointed all this out. The viewers defended the Britney pics and de-exploitation with it wasn't that bad. Oh, and exploitation, I guess. With it wasn't that bad. I mean, like it's completely the opposite of what they're saying these days. If they were always schmucks and they're still acting like schmucks, well, they do act like schmucks, but not like that. If they behave in the same way, I'd be like, well, that's just the way they are. But now they're pretending they're something they're not. So yeah,
Well,
it is.
I was gonna say that's what they love to do best over there. You know, they just love the grandstand and be hypocrites. So
very hypocritical.
Yep. Yeah. Number one in the country. Number one hypocrites in the country. All right, so we got our. I know, right? So disgusting. From the people supposedly who are suffering the most, right? If they stand for those values of trying to help all the people who are suffering in this country, all the people who are inundated in debt with healthcare, student loan debt. Guys, so this next topic that we're going to talk about is regarding a third party. It's not the Green Party. It's not the Libertarian Party. It's not even Movement for a People's Party. It's Andrew Yang's Forward Party, which on the debate stage, it reminds me of when he was like, it's not left versus right, it's forward. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know too much about that. I know about where Andrew Yang stood on certain policies. I'm not a fan of his foreign policy at all. Well, I'm not a fan of any current candidate's foreign policy at all. But we see this. I came across this tweet here. Andrew Yang saying, saw the great Kim Iverson in LA. So he has one independent media voice that he spoke with about his party. And it seems like she's supporting him. Said, watching people on my feed get triggered by the Forward Party because they may not support Andrew Yang is exactly why we need the Forward Party, ironically. Because a lot of people who don't like Andrew Yang's policies, a lot of people who, we've talked about it on this show when I had the various people who I have on this panel right now, Ricky, Charles, and Ed Lee, who's not with us right now. But what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about the Forward Party? For me personally, I'll say I don't think any third party stands a chance at all. Not even Yang's. Even if it's corporate backed, I don't think we should be backing it. Like, how are our problems going to get fixed? I don't think our problems can get fixed electorally. I think that we should focus more on not only just direct action, but on community organizing, because we're still going to have the same problems with the current ruling class that we have, and it will take a miracle for a third party to win, given how our election system is constructed, and how they're privately owned. But let me hear what your thoughts are, Ricky and Charles.
Man, I don't know if he's trying to sell books or what at this point, man. Like, you were a Democrat, which is, I mean, whatever. You have to pick a party to run for president, I guess. But you were a Democrat who was pushing UBI. I feel like the Democrats used him to push the UBI thing because they're going to have their own version of UBI, which is going to be part of your digital identity theory in the future. And it's going to be like, oh yeah, here's your crumbs, which it's a Trojan horse kind of policy. I can already tell. Just like the Green New Deal is going to be is already a horrible Green New Deal, the ones that the Democrats have. It's totally corporate friendly. I don't know what his intentions are with this. I always feel like he's like disingenuous. I always feel like he's phony baloney. I don't know if he wants to, sell books or wants to fundraise and make money off of this somehow. I don't know. I don't think there's no way he expects to win with this shtick. His shtick's already tired. I feel when he didn't even get, the bid for mayor here in New York City, dude. Like, what? You're the only one that had a national platform and you were running for mayor of New York. Like, literally, you had the name recognition. No one else was nearly as famous as you were running for mayor.
You made all the debate stages, right? All the debates.
There were so many
restrictions.
There were so many digital debates, and he like messed up, man. He couldn't do it. He's phony baloney. He promises, all the corporations that he's gonna go to bat for them, and then he turns around and is like, yeah, we're gonna do a UBI. Like in New York, we can't really do UBI because we don't have federal money. So
I remember that.
We're gonna give some poor people some money, and it's just like, bro, this is not how you fix the problems of New York City. So it's bad.
Still standing with Israel too.
and that is really that was the gut punch for his. Rarely does Israel gut punch anyone's candidacy here in America, but that one really tanked him out. I think all the progressives were like, "Nope, see you later." So I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. Honestly, I don't know what this is.
And that's the problem with fence sitting, like with the corporate Democrats and all the moderates, and with the the progressives, who are still believing in electoral politics, right? You can't win them both over like that. If there's any possible way, is to have a true populist voice, and to expose how the system works, but he doesn't do that.
Right. He's very corporate friendly. I'm just wondering if like the Democrats like feel like, they're losing people a little bit right now. And they're like, you know what, Yang, go out there and do your little third party thing. We'll help you out. And you'll catch some of those people leaving the party and maybe he's
going
to
bring them back in at some
and kind
point.
of bring them some way. Yeah. I feel like he's going to catch some of those people and kind of bring them back into the Democratic Party. He's going to be like the next AOC who kind of brings people back into the party.
Yeah, I tried the third party thing. It doesn't work. So that's why we got to do the Democrats. We got to, we got to do the lesser of two evils. Charles, what do you think about all this?
So obviously anybody that's watched my channel for a long time knows I've always kind of been an independent, hence how I came up with the name, the Lone Wolf Podcast. And I haven't given up hope on third parties, but it's getting worse and worse. And honestly, we do have to get, community activism at this point, because I'll come back to why I'm losing hope on the third party stuff in just a second, but I've got to hit on Yang here. And when Yang gets this thing going, however much effort he puts into it, he needs to start holding rallies like Trump, okay? And just like Trump has his theme song that he comes out to, I've got the perfect one for Andrew Yang.
Oh, man.
Why can't we be friends? Okay? Because literally that's this guy's motto. And the thing is, if he was at least applying it in the right way, he might be on to something. Because if you wanted to try and get the reasonable, independent voters of this country who all have real problems to hold hands and sing Kumbaya, okay, you're on the right track. The problem with Yang, and I actually kind of liked Yang for a while when he first started running for president, but the first red flag this guy threw that I was like, what the hell's he doing? Was when he got on the debate stage and Cory Booker did not. And then he championed on that he would be proud to see Cory Booker pull back up in the polls and be at the next debate. What the hell are you doing? You're in a race. You're trying to win. Why are you cheering on a corporate stooge to make it back to the next debate? That is, could you imagine Donald Trump? I'll be so glad to see Hillary Clinton pull back ahead in the polls.
And he was silent on Tulsi, right? When she didn't make the debate stage.
Right. So, it was so ridiculous because I never heard him try to get Tulsi back up there, like you said. But he's championed for Cory Booker to get back on stage. So like you said, he's playing up to the wrong people. Even more evidence of that is what he said he wants to do with the Forward Party. Now, I guess in theory, if you were just trying to do it for the right reasons, maybe not a bad idea, because the Reform Party did something similar to this. They would look for people kind of outside the bubble of Democrats and Republicans and try to use their ability to promote those candidates. Yang has kind of signaled that the Forward Party would be something similar, but you could be a member of any party, and if you support a certain number of issues, particularly ranked choice voting, then the Forward Party would then support you whether you're a member of the Forward Party or not. So, going back to Ricky's point, what happens when AOC decides she's going to support ranked choice voting? They're just going to try and funnel people right back over to the Democrats. You know why? Because as MPP has started to show, getting ballot access isn't the easiest thing in the world to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you're brand new to the game, even newer than MPP. Okay? So where are you going to get all this ballot access from to start running your own candidates? It's going to be they're going to support candidates from other parties. And all it's going to take is the right Democrat to come out and say, this is what we're going to support. And they will be the lesser of two evils. So since the Forward Party doesn't have a candidate, well, okay, looks like the Democrat's the choice here. So again, the theme song, Why Can't We Be Friends? That's basically what this guy's going to go around singing. Just basically whichever party, mainstream, bought off, corrupt, whatever, if they support something he kind of signals that this party represents, then we're going to support you. Last thing, and this is what I said I would come back to and why I'm losing faith in third parties. We saw a lot of problems with the Green Party in the last election cycle with some of the stuff they had going on in-house. The Libertarians have a war between the Mises Caucus and other groups, and they are having problems getting kind of a solidarity thing going. You've got other people. I know a guy who I interact with on Twitter some in the DMs, Chad Wilson. He's talking about a new independent Green Party.
Yeah.
You've got all these third parties, and now you've got the MPP and you've got the Forward Party. Okay, Andrew Yang ran a campaign on math. Make America think harder. Math. Okay, let's do some math. The majority of the country does consider themselves to be independent, more than Democrats or Republicans, but they don't have the same views. Some are a little more right independent, some are a little more left independent, some are way right, some are way left, whatever. But they don't all believe in the same thing. So they're divided into these little subgroups. Then you have what is supposed to be a third party. Well, what's at the very beginning of that? Number 3, you've got 2 choices. We're the third option. You don't stop at that. Even out of the ones I've already named, there's even smaller parties, the Constitution Party. There are so many third parties coming around. If you wanted something to be serious, the idea is to stop creating so many other competitors and try to find one and unite and take a third party that hasn't gone anywhere and try to rebrand it, rebuild it, take it over, and unify. If you're going to do this thing seriously. But when you've already got these little subgroups of independents and you just keep dividing it up further and further and further, the math says you ain't going to win shit.
Right.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. They're not going to win anything this way. So if this is the direction we're going, third parties don't stand a chance. You've got to do community activism at this point because this ain't going to work.
And I'll just add that, the more third parties you have, the less likely a third party is going to have winning candidates, period. And we're learning with ranked choice voting specifically because we actually had it here in New York that it can backfire because they can literally flood the pool of people and it can backfire because we had probably one person who had an actual progressive platform. And then they smeared the hell out of her. And so they got her out and she was horrible to her employees and she had all these scandals. And then you had these de Blasio moderates. And then, they're faux progressive. And then you have Yang, who's his own brand of progressive. So all the progressives split their votes between all of these faux progressive people. And then who won? The tough on crime, pro stop and frisk, pro surveillance, authoritarian, the most right wing, but also the most authoritarian Democrat. And it was what? That's the one you pick? But it's because they literally flooded. I mean, there are 20 something candidates for mayor here. So the more candidates you throw in the mix, the more you can split those votes up and you can push for literally the worst guy. And the Democrat running for mayor in New York is horrible. He's worse than the Republican by far. But people are probably going to vote for the Democrat because he's a Democrat and this is New York.
Right.
So I've said this after I spoke with MPP when I saw them in DC in front of the Capitol. When I spoke to Paula Jean and Nick Branya and Zainab, I asked them questions like, do you guys have legislation ready and all that? And after I left, I said, I'll stand in solidarity with third parties when they go out to the events like this, when they organize, At that very same weekend, at the End of Damn Wars protest that Magnus Penn Video organized, I saw MPP there. I saw Libertarian Party members there and Green Party members there. We need more events like this. But like I always say on my show, we need to go beyond that too. We need more community organizing. But as we community organize more, as we meet up with each other at these direct action events, we start meeting people that come from different backgrounds, that came from different ideologies, that have that see through the theatrics of electoral politics. They start learning more about how all these things that they have in common. Theoretically, I think the best chance that a third party has is if they stand together with all these people, they all unite. It's one third party that has everybody that's just sick of the system. And the key players that are there are election integrity activists and people who are good at reading the legislation and who are good at writing legislation. And I haven't seen the Forward Party's platform. I don't know what legislation that they have ready. How is it that legislation going to be better than what we currently have, which is written by the lobbyists? We need to actually understand how our enemies are operating right now to oppress us, which is why I'm bringing on people like Seb Solomon and Ali Alexandra and Shadowban Refugee and Jack Sith, because they actually dive into the legislation. We need to understand how our enemy is operating. Is that what these third parties are doing? Do they actually understand what they're doing right now with the Great Reset? Do they understand what they're trying to do with digital IDs and with all these mandates? It doesn't seem like they haven't even scratched the surface of any of that. So that's why I think that a lot of these people that are trying to start their third parties, and they don't understand what's actually going on. And if they did, they would be focusing more on community organizing and on having that third party occur later on down the road once we get everybody on board on the same page on what's actually happening. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on all that.
You want to go first on that one, Ricky?
We took a sharp turn, huh? I mean, when I look at Congress, I know we're going to talk about infrastructure and Build Back Better and all that, but when I look at Congress, I literally think they're just handing these people a script and they're like, "You're going to read this. Yeah. This is what you're going to say today." I don't think anyone's making choices anymore.
Yeah,
at all. I think there at one point in my life, Congress people actually made choices, and that's why some of them got run out of Congress because they didn't follow the narrative. I don't think anyone has look at any of them. Like, look at AOC, look at Bernie, man. Bernie's not the same guy he used to be. AOC, like, her career changed so fast, man. She came in spitting fire, and now she's like making excuses for herself, and it's like sad. It's like pathetic. I don't think any of them can do anything. I think they're just given a script, and they're like, "Hi, you're an actor. Welcome. Here's your SAG card. Welcome to SAG-AFTRA. Now go on TV and act." I don't think any of them get to say what they want to say. And the fact that they're all just staying in Congress, not doing anything and pretending they're fighting for us is just, it's bad. It's a lot of careerists. That's a lot of them. That's how I see all of this right now.
Yeah, I would say I definitely see a lot of careerists, but to me, this is what I notice, or at least my opinion on what I perceive from this anyway. I think you can tie it all back to competition. And you've got to look at people as a whole and how we think and act as a society. Someone who engages in competition and has that traditional sportsmanship, may the best man win mentality, would say, let's let the person with the best ideas prevail. I'll argue my case. You'll argue your case. Whoever has the best idea and whoever the public agrees with will win the election, and we'll call it a day. We'll shake hands and we'll go our separate ways. Now, that's how things should work. But that is not how it has worked in a very, very long time, because when you have people who don't so much care about doing the right thing as they just care about the win, because they're very ego driven, or they like the fact that they have that government job because the benefits sure are a whole lot better than bartending. Okay. When you get that sort of thing, then that's going to change how you look at the competition, because now it's not about may the best man win. It's about what do I need to do to win? And to make that even worse, you get even worse, possibly corrupt business owners who then pay you a lot of money to start playing dirty in the competition. So then here's what you wind up with. Because it's a party, it's just like team sports. Someone new comes into the fold. They might be some young, starry-eyed progressive. They want to do all these things. Well, you're not going to be able to do them by yourself, and that's a given. I don't care if you got elected president. You're not going to be able to do it by yourself. That the corruption runs too deep, and you're going to take a big chunk out of Capitol Hill to start really making good waves, that like big noticeable waves. You got to take the power structure away in a big way. But the powers that be that have already been there for decades are then going to squeeze you into playing ball the way they want you to. And they'll blackmail you. They will say, okay, this is what you're going to go out there and you're going to do. You need evidence? Go look at AOC crying while Pelosi berated her to go back and change her vote. Okay? Which, by the way, she changed her vote to something she raked Tulsi Gabbard across the coals for doing, by the way. But it's just the point. They will put the pressure on you because it's, the donors and the party first. And we're going to do whatever we got to do to please the donors. We got to do whatever we do to play politics and keep winning elections for ourselves. You don't go out there with all these bright ideas. As Ricky said, you do, you're probably going to get run out of Congress. And then it becomes a question of, am I going to be intellectually honest enough to do what I said I was going to come here to do? Or because I made it this far and I don't want to go back and I kind of like where I'm at, am I going to kind of give in and go along with it? And when you start doing that, you join the swamp. And as Jimmy Dore says, you don't change the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party changes you.
Yep.
And I think you can't say it any better than that.
That's right.
100%. All right, guys, we're going to finish off here on Rockfin. We're going to talk about the last two topics that are related to each other. Just real quick, we're going to talk about Noam Chomsky and Fauci. Some of the comments that Noam Chomsky has said, which are really disappointing. Fauci, what else needs to be said about that guy? We've talked a lot about him on this show. I recommend checking out those videos that I have, mostly on Rockfin. A lot of the ones that I've had on YouTube have been taken down. So yeah, we're going to finish off on Rockfin. I'm just going to end the stream here on YouTube. Just wait a quick second. But yeah, go ahead and support. If you haven't yet supported this channel on Rockfin yet, support this channel on Rockfin. Charles is on Rockfin. We're gonna try to get Ricky Rants on Rockfin too. Right? You're not on Rockfin yet, right, Ricky?
No, I don't. I haven't really been streaming or doing any of that lately.
Okay.
I need to get back to.
We'll still help you out. We'll help you out. We'll help out propaganda. We'll help out everybody else who's not there yet. So yeah,
shucks.
guys, Rockfin, Odyssey, all these alternative platforms where the censorship is not heavy. Take care, everybody. And on YouTube. See you on the flip side. All right, what's going on?